Hi everyone, hope you guys are all having a great day. Today I'm going to do the Finally Fall book tag. It is fall here. It's not finally fall. It's been getting colder and cooler for the past several weeks, and the leaves have been changing for a while. Fall doesn't last very long here though, so I'm definitely missing the typical northeastern vibrant fall that we get in on the East Coast. Here everything just changes to yellow, and that's beautiful, but it's also just very different than what I'm used to growing up. So I saw this book tag, the Finally Fall book tag, from the Peruse Project. I will link her video down below, and I will also link the original video as well. Sorry, I dropped my camera. Okay, anyway. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get started. The first question is, in the fall the air is crisp and clear. Name a book that has a very vivid setting. I chose Neil Gaiman's The Ocean at the End of the Lane. This story takes place in a very small area. It's a person's house and backyard and then the farm down the road from him. But you get to do quite a bit of exploring in that small area, and the setting is very vivid and vibrant and unique. And the story in and of itself is very creative as well. It's definitely an excellent fall read. Question number 2, nature is beautiful but dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but is about a heavy topic like loss or grief. For that one, I chose All Quiet on the Western Front by Erich Maria Remarque. This is a book written right after World War I from the perspective of a German soldier it's actually written by a German soldier. Erich Maria Remarque was German. It is beautifully written, expertly done, and the translation is great too. I don't speak German, so I had to read a translation. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous book, but it is also heartbreaking, especially for me personally. The scenes where he is back home visiting his family in his hometown on his leave it just breaks my heart. And then obviously the ending, which I'm not going to tell you about, but it's good. So if you've never read this, it's definitely a beautiful read. It's very character driven. It is about the characters in the story, and it's very episodic as well, but it's still a beautiful, beautiful book. Question number 3, fall is back to school time. Name a nonfiction book that you learned something from. I chose 2 books. The first one, I chose Hillbilly Elegy by J.D. Vance. This is about hillbillies and their culture, and it's also specifically about J.D. Vance's family. However, if you are a hillbilly or have hillbillies in your background, you will find that there are some universal truths that he talks about. I definitely found that out. It was just very interesting to see or to read about somebody who experienced things similar to me. I thought that my family was just a little crazy. Turns out they are a little crazy, but they're not the only ones. So that's really what I learned. I also learned some very interesting statistics regarding these poorer regions of the Appalachian Mountains, and it was very interesting. I also, for this question, chose How to Read Literature Like a Professor. I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot about literature, obviously, and also about books that I had never even considered reading, which is sort of why I enjoyed this book. I know a lot of you are teachers and professors, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one too, whether you thought it was good or whether you thought it was a bunch of nonsense. Let me know what you think. Number 4. Fall is about keeping warm with the family that you love. Name a fictional family and household that you would love to be a part of. For this one, I chose A Man Called Uva. The characters in this story are wonderful, and they are all sort of separate and very, very different from one another, but they form a family, and that is beautiful. Especially, it really hit home for me because I don't get to live near my family. I have a difficult time making friends. I think I'm a lot like Uva. I definitely have the potential to be a grumpy old man sometimes. And I just sort of like to be by myself. But he is forced, for the better, to create a community, and it's a lovely, lovely story, and I would love to know those people. Number 5 is about showing colorful books. That's all I'm going to show you. I'm not going to take the camera around my house. Sorry. Number 6, the nights are getting darker. Name a dark and creepy book. I have 2 for you. The first one is Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire. It is definitely dark and creepy because it's about vampires and they can only go out in the dark. It was very different than I thought. The plot was not really what this story was about. This story was very character driven, and it was also much more sensual than I would have anticipated. There's no sex in it, but it was very interesting, the mood portrayed in this story. I also chose The Shining by Stephen King. As strange as it is, Stephen King is one of my very favorite authors. This was the first Stephen King book that I ever read, and it's excellent. It is creepy. It's about a little boy. That's the main character, is a little boy. I would encourage you, if you watched the movie The Shining and didn't like it, but you do like creepy books, try to read the book, because Jack Nicholson is not the ideal actor for this story. In the movie, Jack Nicholson is the bad guy, but in the book, the dad is not necessarily the bad guy. Something else is going on, and I think that's what makes this story so excellent. Number 7, The Days Are Getting Colder. Name a heartwarming story that you could read on a rainy day. I chose Little Women. It's a beautiful little story about a wonderful family, and it is very heartwarming. Sorry, I'm not going to get into that one too much. We mostly know the story, right? Number 8, fall returns every year. Name a book that you want to reread. So for this one, I actually chose The Da Vinci Code, for better or worse. That is the book that I feel like rereading right now. My husband is actually reading it for the first time right now, and I read it when I was in high school, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a fun book with a very entertaining plot. I know a lot of people don't like it for various reasons. Either they genuinely didn't enjoy the story, or they didn't like it because so many people liked it, or they didn't like it because of what it had to say about the church. But for whatever reason you don't like it, that's your prerogative. I really enjoyed it and definitely want to reread it soon. However, I'm not doing any rereads this year, so I have to wait until January to begin rereading any books. And number 9, fall is also about sitting by the fire and telling stories. Name a story that is told by somebody other than the main character. And for that, I chose Wuthering Heights. This story is told from the perspective of a new person coming into the neighborhood and wanting to buy a house, I think. And he gets caught in a snowstorm, ends up meeting a very cranky owner, and then he is sort of being nursed back to health by somebody who used to live in the household, and she is telling him this story. It is very unique in that, well, it's not unique in that way, but I enjoyed that aspect of it because the stranger to the neighborhood, his perspective is interesting, and then the servant's perspective is interesting as well. I thought that part of it was very entertaining, and it added a lot to the story. That is the end of the book tag. There's actually apparently one more question, but in my notes I wrote down number 10, don't want to do that one. So I don't remember. I don't remember why I felt that way. Sorry. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you love the fall, I would love for you to do this book tag. Thanks. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.